Hello and welcome back, everybody. We're at Dreamhack Anaheim. It's Tiger Lily, your host here, along with beautiful Kevin. He is going to be gaming again, so his hand is away from the mic, but I'd like to introduce you today to a new dev. If you'd like to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your game and you as well afterwards.
My name is Justin Renard. My company is Secret Cow Level, and we're developing Doomtrooper, which is a collectible card game that was a physical card game in the 90s, and we tracked down the owners, and we are trying to bring it back digitally now in 2020.
Awesome. And then your name?
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
So Chris is going to be down there with Kevin, and they're going to just be playing the game. He will do his best to lead through, and we're going to talk a lot about it as they progress and go into it. So Kevin, if you wanted to start. So if you want to kind of briefly explain what he's doing.
So they're getting ready to boot up a game. They're going to choose a deck.
Ooh, I like the art already.
We're trying to keep, so the game was popular in the 90s, so we're trying to keep that 90s feel where we can. So we went retro with a lot of the UI, as well as the versus screen you just saw. It like smacks in from the side, like a fighting game would, Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat 3 kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just to harken back to the glory days of retro. A little pixelated art there.
I do see. There's like the little fusion of styles in this.
Yeah, I really love pixel art, so we wanted to work it in somewhere, so we have it in a couple little loading screens and stuff, but we're keeping the game. The game has a wealth of painted art that we're trying to focus on.
It's a mesh of what we know and what's familiar, but it's also new. Like, I don't really see this kind of deck table or like anything like that, so it's new to me.
Yeah, it's the good thing about our game is that it doesn't have any wizards or dragons or any tropes you would expect from most collectible card games, because a lot of them are, for better or worse, Hearthstone.
Already seen it.
Yeah.
This is different. This is new.
Yeah.
What inspired? I answered my own question because this is inspired off of the old game back in the 90s.
Correct.
That's correct. Yeah.
The art is very the art is very focused in a time period when you look at it. The big muscles and the giant guns, and unfortunately there were a lot of damsels in distress, late 80s, early 90s when the art was painted. But we're trying not to focus so much on those for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But the big dudes with the big muscles, we're going to try to do some girls with big muscles and some little skinny dudes in distress to try to counteract the time difference between then and now.
Yeah. So with this, how long in production, like how far along in development is this game?
So this is actually our 4th year, longer than we thought it was going to take, but I'm kind of crazy and decided to make my own engine and technology and tools to make this game the best that I could.
So it's your own, which is a good way to start because it's your own. You don't have to worry about anything.
It is, but we would have been done a long time ago had I not done that.
Yeah.
But we have the ability to patch the game a lot faster than other card games, to update it, to support multiple platforms, because we designed the engine to make a cross-platform card game.
So with this one specifically, what's your goal with your community? When someone picks this game up and they want to play it, like what are you hoping that they receive in return when they first go into it?
That is a great question, because I want them to see the love and the passion. Because when we started this game, there was Hearthstone. Now, 4 years later, if I started listing all the card games, we would go over time. I don't want people to see this and think, oh, another cash grab. I want them to know, I played this game almost 20 years ago. I loved it. I collected it. I tracked it down. I'm reviving it. I love it. I want them to love it. And when they do give us money, the game will be free to play. But I want them to want to give us money because they see how much we love it and how much of ourselves we're putting into it.
Of course.
Not ever feel like they have to.
I think that's why you taking time to make this game and have your own engine and put in your own little mix into it is really good, because although it took so long, people are going to see that.
I hope so. And we have a really great Discord community, and a lot of them are just as passionate about the game as we are. Some of them played it back then. Some have met us at conventions like Dreamhack.
Yeah.
And I want everyone just to know how cool this game was and give it a shot.
So what platforms? This is just on PC?
So our original version of the engine we made will run on PC, it'll run on Apple, and it'll run on Linux.
Okay.
And Linux is not a lot of gaming, but there are a lot of diehards out there, and that's part of what we're trying to do to show people we care.
That's your community. That's who you're trying to grab. You want anybody on Linux to have a good time.
I want anyone anywhere. It's just iOS and Android. We are starting to prototype a little bit right now, and hopefully if things go well with some revenue or publishing, we can have a mobile out by the end of the year.
Yeah, I could definitely see this being fun. So So can you talk about what they're doing on screen right now? Kind of explain, because he's over there explaining to Kevin, but for me, I'm not sure what they're doing, what his goal is. I don't know if you can recognize the strat here.
Sure. So the game that they're playing right now, they're playing the Mishima faction on the bottom. It's kind of based on like Japanese culture with samurais and assassins and some magical sword powers and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other guys are playing the Dark Legion. Algaroth is the Dark Apostle's name. They're more like zombie horde. So the strategy for the AI is a horde strategy.
Okay.
This guy in the middle is a necromutant. He will make all of the little guys more powerful. And the little guys will make each other more powerful. So
Do they multiply? Is this a multiply deck too, or is it no?
The little guys have a keyword called unlimited right now.
Yeah.
Don't know if it'll stick around for final, but you can have as many of those in the deck as you want. So they
Wow.
kind of multiply themselves. And there's another guy that could come out. His stats are based on how many of the little guys you have.
Right.
So if this gets out of hand, it gets out of hand really quickly.
Okay, so on our side, as we are fighting against the enemy, what would be the best way to take it out? Because like he's gonna keep making this stronger every round, I bet, and then attack.
So the real strategy is just not to let the horde grow.
Yeah.
The guy on the right is a really great attacker. He just brought him out of cover. Cover is kind of like hiding. You can't attack, but you have a higher armor stat, so you're safer.
Yeah.
And the guy on the right is probably going to be his attacker. And the middle guy on the opponent is currently wounded. That's why he's flashing red. When you attack somebody, there are no hit points. They have armor and you have your attack.
Okay.
And you choose whether you want to fight or shoot, two different stats. It sounds complicated, but it's simpler than it sounds.
As soon as you get it down, it's just a learning curve. For me, for example, like but I'm very interested because I want to know what they're doing. Like,
Right.
And I like the way that the animations work. For example, like you can tell that little glitch. It's like this one is selected. I like that instead of it getting highlighted because that's what you usually see, right?
Right. So when you attack, if you do more damage than their armor, you will wound them, and then they'll flash red and glitch out, showing that they're wounded. If you wound them again, they'll die, and you earn their points.
That's amazing.
But you can only attack once per turn, which is very different than games, say, like Hearthstone or Magic, where you load the board up and then just attack a whole bunch as an overwhelming force.
Yeah.
Traditionally, you're only going to attack once unless certain cards, certain strategies allow you to attack more than once. But that's a super powerful ability.
So talk about a little bit about this character, the bot, the AI that he's fighting against. Every enemy is a deck, right? That's how these games work. How many do you have, like, at the moment as you progress? Like, is there only one for the demo, or do you have more?
So the game itself has 7 factions at launch, which is kind of another me being a little crazy. It's a lot.
I mean, that's a lot.
There are 5 good corporations in the world. There are also 5 evil Dark Legion apostles. We managed to get the 5 corporations in and 1 Dark Apostle. The rest will require us, it turns out, based on the old cards, to design a lot of new cards to flesh it out.
Yeah.
So we'll do that later as the game progresses. And then there is another faction, which are, you could say, the Wizards of the world. They're kind of a neutral faction that live on the good side of the board. They're super powerful, and in the lore, their job is just to take out the Dark Legion.
Okay. So you do have that, like, hierarchy of, like, oh, I made this achievement. I have done this. So that's always fun. It gains you a little respect in the community. So further speaking with this game, if anyone was interested or wanted to support you, how would they be able to find you? Like, you just went over the platforms, but, like, you talked about Discord as well, and then
Right.
any socials?
So our website is doomtroopergame.com, and all of our social is Doomtrooper Game. So you'll be able to find it anywhere. We are getting ready to move over to Steam Early Access because anyone who wants to play, we want them to come in. The game is stable. We're adding cards all the time, and if you want to try it, we want to get you in.
Yeah, and you want that feedback. So, and then if you're here at Dreamhack Anaheim and you want to go give this game a test, you can find them in the indie playground. Do you know your booth number? No one ever does, but you can find them, I'm sure.
I believe, 506.
506. So if you're at Dreamhack Anaheim and you want to test out this game, I love the art site. It's very unique and obviously very passionate about it. I would go talk to him about it if you're into this. So thank you so much for showing the game today.
Thank you for letting me.